Hello and welcome. We are back with Formula 2 this evening, the in-between games break. And we've got a fairly healthy grid as we move on over to Yeehaw, Texas. And this will be a one-shot quali followed by a sprint race and then the main race. So it's going to be a long one. Buckle your seatbelts. We will be here in the commentary booth all race, sprint, and quali. And joining me in the commentary box this evening is Michael Louie.
Hello, it's lovely to be here again. My first time commentating on Formula 2. It's going to be an interesting one. Texas is quite a complicated track. First sector is medium high speed to medium speed tricky corners, followed by a massive straight, followed by low speed tricky corners. And it's going to be a good one. One shot quali might catch a few people out. It's definitely caught me out in the past, so looking forward to it.
Yeah, not a whole lot of time to try and dial in your feel for the track, as you've got a single shot to try and make your mark on the grid, and then it's straight into the sprint race, and anything could happen, as we've got F1 Bin Lyndon joining us again this evening. And he does have a bit of a reputation, but he is trying to redeem himself. So we'll see what he's able to pull out of the bag here at COTA. And we'll just go through some of the drivers' standings. So in first place, leading the pack in the Prima is Arrow, who's placed pretty well the last three races. And hot on his heels is Liam, followed by Echo. Kevin Kell, who was the Tier 2 champion for the Formula 1 last season here at WHF. And then we've got Niall, who is, believe it or not, ranked 4th in the world at Monaco in time trial. So he's got a lot of pace on him. So he'll be one to watch if he's in, but I don't believe he's joining us this evening. No, he is. He's in the Campos Racing car. Then Ollie Bean and Lime, followed by SNZ, Ty Clear, Young Himmy Dimes, the wanky one, Godzilla, WT Addiction, Zeus, Sci-Fi Mega Hype, a fellow South African all the way down in P15, followed by Cthulhu, Destructo, Legispin, and D. Sommers, Tantrum, Pneumatic, Sledge, and Ultra Titan make up the entirety of the standings so far in the Formula 2 mid-game break. So, any favorites for you this evening, Michael?
I'll have to see how my rival from last season, Kevin Cowell, see how he gets on. He always has a way of starting quite low down in the grid and finishing quite high up. So I'm looking forward to seeing how he does that. It's pretty much inevitable. COD, who is also my rival from Tier 2, I'm really looking forward to seeing how he gets on. Craig Conley, I've raced with him before. And obviously, the Torpedo himself, F1 Lime.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how many safety calls he causes. But Kevin, very rarely, he's got this special ability to somehow manage to avoid all the chaos on track. It's kind of like a weird, unique ability to him. I don't think I've seen a whole lot happen to him through the course of last season in Tier 2. But as we make our way over to the one-shot quali, we should be able to see who's going to come out on top here in Texas. So if anybody is in the chat, if you're able to give any insight to the weather, that would be amazing. Let's see, we've got a few messages in the chat. Good evening, says the lanky one. Vroom vroom, says Young Himmy Dimes. Bean Does Gaming, that would be Ollie Bean saying, what's up? Lime hates his forced, says Pneumatic. And Young Himmy Dime says the hate watch is real. Ollie then saying, Big Beano, the one to watch, talking about himself. I like how he's so humble. The wanky one sends 3 goat emojis. Destructo saying dry, dry, mixed. Pneumatic saying I gotta do good out here. So we'll be kicking off in the next 7, 6, 5 seconds. And I have a feeling that Arrow is going to be able to pull an absolute burner here this evening. So we'll go on board with LTJ Ellis, who has a tendency to spin. SNZ already out of the session, so he'll be starting all the way at the back in P18. So Ledger spin in the MP. But I have a feeling Arrow's going to have this one in the bag. Or have I just cursed him by saying that? That is the question. We'll check what Arrow's up to in the Prima. So currently sits P1 with his pace through the lap. But if he is running higher wings, we'll see that possibly die off on the main straight. Or the DRS straight, rather.
Just wanted to add that both SNZ and... Oh, sorry, Lime has just binned it. Oh, okay.
Well, and he wonders why he's
SNZ and the Noose Gaming have both DNF'd or did not qualified.
Maybe they're just so confident they know they can do it from the back of the grid.
Yeah, I mean, despite Lime's off, he's still only P14, which is not bad. It's not last. We've got a bit of a fight for P3 between Kevin Cow, D Sommers, and Codzilla, which is going on through the final sector here.
I reckon Cod's going to have it. D Sommers is not a slow driver, but I do think that Cod has better pace. And Liam LH44 has left the session.
That is unfortunate. Younghimi Dimes has disqualified. Newton-Matic has disqualified.
Oh my.
I wonder what that was for.
Quite an eventful one-shot quali, but Arrow will be a pole sitter with a massive 6.5 tenths gap to Nile. And you see the how close D Sommers and shoot, I missed who the other person was, but very, very tight gap there, less than a tenth between them.
Yeah, D Sommers and Cod, I believe.
Codzilla.
Oh no, Cod was ahead of D Sommers, and Kevin Cow, P5.
That's not like Kevin
Very,
Cow
very
to
close.
fall off like that, though. I think he might have better race pace once we get into the sprint.
He normally does. He normally does indeed. I mean, notable from Aero being half a second quicker than Nile. I can only assume that, the French driver probably prefers F1, and he's probably doesn't practice F2 as much. I'm not sure whether Aero's doing this just so he can have a championship to his name.
Are we able to get LH44? So in the Discord, I don't think I've got him on my friends list though.
I don't have him on my French list either. That is unfortunate. Do you know if he's on Xbox by any chance?
I think he might be. But I unfortunately don't have him.
No. Oh, that is such a shame.
So P3 in the bag and I fumbled, says Young Himmy Dimes. That is quite unfortunate. I don't believe we were able to catch it. We were following Arrow and briefly Ledger Spin. So we've got 4 minutes. A full 4 minutes to kill before we get racing.
So what can we take away from the one-shot quali? Obviously, Aero is looking very, very impressive in qualifying at Kota. Might see a bit more close of a battle in the race. From P3 down, everyone looks pretty even Stevens on pace. And it's going to be interesting to see the people who unfortunately messed up their laps. It'll be interesting to see how they can come back through the field. And Liam is back in the session, which is good.
Excellent. We'd love to see it. So, do we think that Lime spinning in the one-shot quali, that's his chaos for the event out the way? Or do you reckon he will do what he's had a history of doing?
I want to see something good from Lime. I know that he's got pace. I mean, he very nearly took pole off of me in Belgium. I definitely think that if he can just get it together, get into a rhythm. I think one of the hardest things you can do when you're doing league racing is to actually get into a rhythm and be able to do the same thing lap after lap after lap and never make a mistake.
Oh, somebody's readied up early, but with that, it is lights out and away we go. Liam somehow managing to get on pole.
That's interesting. Oh, is it reverse? It's a reverse grid, I think. Yeah, for the sprint, they reverse the top 8 or top 10. That's why it looks so confusing.
So SNZ disqualified, but
facing the wrong way. And Lime has not been the cause of a collision, but he has been spun out by
LTJ Ellis, I imagine.
LTJ Ellis.
Now, LTJ Ellis does have a history of spinning.
That is really unfortunate. But Lime has gotten going again. So has Ellis. D. Sommers has had a shocking first couple of corners.
Ooh,
and we have a spinner. Codzilla lost control going onto the main straight. The back straight, I mean.
He does have wing damage. I don't know if that's maybe played into it. Or whether the wing damage was as a result of what happened. And we've got
a big
Gaming, who's just fucked it out of a corner. I believe he now does not have a wing. Can't tell if he's got wing damage, actually. He does. Minor wing damage on his front right. So, Sci-Fi Mega Hype falling down to P11 now.
Yeah, Liam LH doesn't appear to be enjoying...
He's retired on track.
As I say that, no retired. I think that may have been a crash.
And Kevin Cal has left the session.
Everything is going on right now. It's not really sure where to look at the moment. It being a sprint race, everyone is fighting for position quite aggressively. Very unfortunate for for Kevin and Liam LH has gone again as well. Oh, he retired anyway.
So Niall currently in first place, with Ollie Bean not too far behind. Craig Conley bringing in third place, and Arrow, who fell off from his pole position, currently sitting in P4.
I have to say, this is a really good effort from Craig Conley. He obviously got a good position having the reverse grid, but he's looking to sort of be there and thereabouts with the leaders. Maybe not quite on par with Niall, but he is doing really well, hanging on with Ollie Beam for a podium position. Arrow is on his inside though, and he will probably try and make the move stick going into turn 14. No, 13.
Well, now he's going to have the outside on the next corner. I don't think Arrow's going to have the pace, but with a slight loss of traction on his rear, Craig Conley concedes the position to Arrow and tries to make a move down the inside on the following corner, but is he going to get the exit? He is not. Arrow now just behind Ollie Bean as Niall running away with it with a 2.6 second gap. Venus Gaming, the first of all the drivers to get a track limits penalty. So Arrow could be having a little sniff around the inside, but doesn't go for it. Surely will get a pass here as he will have the pace coming into turn 1. as they are almost side by side. It'll be interesting to see what comes of it. If he can make the move, make it stick. Ollie Bean turned in a little bit too early, loses out on the position as we come into the S's now. And Conzilla's DNF'd.
He's retired in the pits from the looks of things.
As has Venus Gaming. Could we see the same from Lime?
I think Lime is getting a new front wing.
That is a good call. It is terrible to try and drive without a decent front wing. And Arrow now pulling away from DRS.
So Lime has probably gone into the pits to get a new wing and has unfortunately not received one.
He must have forgotten to change the setting. So Ollie Bean now out of DRS of Arrow, and Craig Conley will have DRS. And should be able to make the move stick quite comfortably by the end of the straight. As he gets ahead.
Lovely clean overtake. Getting ahead before the braking zone, the Alpine livery car. It'll be interesting to see what Craig can do right now. I think he might have a little bit more pace than Ollie Bean, but I'm not sure if he's got the pace of the two front runners. But it'll be good to see whether he can pull away. Maybe make use of any mistakes of the people ahead.
So we do see a few gaps opening up throughout the field. Obviously, the battle for P3 still fairly tight with Destructo, Ollie Bean, and Craig Conley in the mix. Young Himi Dimes a full 2.2 seconds behind in no man's land, all by himself. Tying clear Pneumatic as well as the Wanky One. Now, in with each other around the P7 mark, D Sommers the next further behind, 2.3 seconds behind, with Sci-Fi Mega Hype keeping him company. And LTJ Ellis, aka Ledger Spin, a full 7 seconds behind them, with Kevin Kell still not back in the lobby, currently trailing by 10 seconds. F1 Lime, who needed a pit stop and did not get a new wing, but is on the soft tire. But will that be enough for him to potentially catch up to, at the very least, D Sommers? And Pneumatic, the latest offender for track limits, picking up a 3-second penalty. And it does appear that he will not have DRS to tie clear in P7.
This really hurts Pneumatic because currently he'll go down to P10 because D Sommers will take that position once the penalties are applied. So he needs to try and get up the track.
Kevin Kell.
I do have Kevin Kell, I think.
So the Lanky One now, hot on Pneumatic's rear. And if he wants any chance of conceding less than 2 positions, he needs to let the Lanky One get ahead so they can try and DRS swap and open up the gap to D Sommers in P10.
Yeah, it looks like the closest battle is still...
Oh, Destructo's gone around in turn 1 along with Ollie Bean, who was all the way up in P3. So I missed that.
There must have been contact there to cause them both to go off at that corner. This has given Craig Conley a massive advantage. Young Himi Dimes is now P4 in the Kicksauber liveried car, the Rodin Motorsport. I think this could be a battle between Destructo and Ollie Bean for P5, which was a battle for P3. Really unfortunate for those guys in the final 6 laps of this race.
So Ollie Bean should be able to use DRS here to close the gap a little bit, but tie clear, not too far behind, hoping to potentially have a little bit of a sniff. Oh, and we've got LTJ Ellis gone around just out of the S's.
That's really unfortunate. I have a feeling he may... No, he's still got a front wing. It looked like he'd lost his front wing there, but no, he does have a front wing. It's just a really unfortunate crash. It's got to be careful because Lime and Kevin Cow will be catching him for the remainder of this race. Lime with those fresher tyres, and Kevin, who is now back in the session, we'll see what he can do.
So Pneumatic and the lanky one were having a little bit of a battle there, coming into Sector 3, which I'm sure D. Sommers absolutely loves as he's managing to close the gap, but will he have enough? By the timing line for the DRS, will he get DRS on the main straight? Don't think he did. He's got DRS. So that'll help close the gap to the drivers ahead. If he can get ahead of the lanky one.
Looking at Pneumatic, he is really struggling to keep the car within track limits. I won't be surprised if he gets more warnings and possibly another penalty in this race. Really unfortunate for him. D. Sommers, if he can stick within that DRS, which he's doing perfectly right now because Pneumatic is all over the place.
Oh, that is huge. That guarantees D. Sommers P8 with the lanky one picking up a track limits penalty.
I believe the way sprint races work, only the top 8 get points unless the F2 is different. So this could be a crucial point for D. Sommers. He dives down the inside, doesn't have as good of an exit, but he will get DRS down this straight, which Pneumatic will not have. So hopefully with the extra speed, D. Sommers can make an overtake stick before they get into the braking zone. He does indeed. Gets it stopped nicely. Pneumatic's looking around the outside. There's not really much space there to go for an overtake, especially going into the next corner.
But is he
for now, D. Sommers has P8.
6/10 to get to Lanky One. Or has Lanky One got the pace to try and open up that gap 2-3 seconds and secure himself that P8 position?
I'm finding it really fascinating that a lot of people who are really strong in the Formula 1 cars are really struggling in the Formula 2s. I know that they are very different, and I don't particularly like them, to be fair. But it's interesting to see how someone like D. Sommers, who is a relatively strong racer in WHF and in other leagues, is really struggling to try and catch Lanky One, who I wouldn't say that they are that different in terms of pace, but Lanky One is doing a really good job. But he's got to try and make a bigger gap if he can in the final few laps to alleviate that penalty that he has received.
I wonder if maybe D. Sommers knows he's pretty much guaranteed that position and maybe he's not pushing as hard as he could, but saying that he's just closed that gap to the Lanky One.
Looks like it's been a bit of a difficult first sector for Lanky One. I mean, D. Sommers is just out of DRS range, but Lanky One might have damage to his front wing, which would make sense as to why he's struggling.
He does.
Yes, he's got end plate damage. So that will be why he's struggling in that first sector. But D. Sommers has not gotten DRS, so he's in sort of no man's land between two drivers who, yes, they have penalties, but at the same time they will fight for position. Going to be a tough one to the end.
I reckon.
Looking back to the front, Young Himi Dimes has Craig Conley for company for the battle for P3 for the final step on the podium. This is going to be an interesting one to the end to see if Craig can make a move and possibly get a podium here.
Ooh, Young Himi Dimes was looking to go defensive, and then he realized Craig Conley wouldn't have the legs to make a move on the main straight. So D. Sommers, Lanky One, something's happened. He's in the pits. Could we see a retirement? So that is very unfortunate for the Lanky One. Doesn't look to be retiring.
He's getting a new front wing.
But this late,
I can only assume. It's a really strange move, but I can only assume that he thought he's not going to get points anyway. He might as well not risk crashing in this race.
Maybe.
That would make more sense. Yeah, that's a good shout. Oh, Craig Conley locks up on the corner before the main straight. I should have memorized the numbers. 10-11.
Got a lot
But
of
he
time
does
to
have the
try and
DRS.
make up, to try and get that position back from Young Himi Dimes. 6/10 he trails by. But we'll see how he comes out of the DRS straight. So managing to pick up a
Put
few
up
tenths.
within 4/10, but it's just not quite enough. Just gotta try and stick with him. I think the only thing he can hope for is if Young Himi Dimes makes a mistake, because it looks like Craig is locking up quite often. You see the smoke coming from his tires, from his front tires, and that will not be helping him when he gets to the corners.
No, not at all. And Young Himi Dimes driving brilliantly as he's able to open up that gap, open up the gap further and increase on the time that Craig Conley was able to gain from the DRS straight. And Young Himi Dimes making that up plus change just in a few turns coming out of Sector 3.
Someone who is lurking in the background is Destructo, who I don't even think we've mentioned in this race. He is he's only 2 seconds behind Craig Conley and Young Himi Dimes, and if anything was to happen, any sort of battling or contact, Destructo will be there to pick up the pieces. It's going to be interesting, with only 2 and a bit laps to go.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? You know, it's sometimes playing it safe, even if you're a bit slow, it can pay out. Craig Conley, I
Looks
don't
like
think he'll
everyone's
be able to
kind
get
of,
DRS. Maybe he was close enough. But he is
the
locking up a
closest
hell
battle
of a
appears to be for P3. But yeah, he is really struggling in getting that car stopped.
lot. So he will have DRS. But Young Himi Dimes has some serious pace on him. As we saw in the previous lap, the gap into the DRS was 0.6. It was 0.9 this time round.
Seems like every braking zone, Conley is locking the front tires, and that's not helping his charge.
So do you reckon
He
that might be
locked
like a
the
brake
tires.
balance issue, or?
Yeah, it could be, or it's just not being comfortable with these Formula 2 cars which are less downforce. They're not as easy to drive as the Formula 1 cars. They are quite tricky. It could be that Young Himi Dimes has anti-lock braking on, whereas Craig Conley doesn't, which is, although every single corner you see the smoke come up from his tyres, it's really not helping him, because the tyres will then overheat and then they won't turn as well. Going into the second to last lap, this is still the closest battle on track. Clear is catching Ollie Bean for P6, but he's not quite got it yet, and he really needs to try and make up at least 2 or 3 tenths, as there is a yellow flag for
F1 Lime.
Lime.
Is it Lime? I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah. Lime looks
Yeah,
like
it is Lime,
maybe
going
spun.
slowly. So now the lanky one is going into the pits again.
Surely
I
to
assume that is
retire.
for yeah. You hate to see it. You hate to see it.
I think it's crazy. We've had 5 retirements in a sprint. 6 retirements in a sprint race, granted. Maybe not in the best position for points, but some of those weren't even... some of those were on track. I think SNZ did ready up early, so I think that threw a few people off for the start.
Yeah, I think people in these little races in between the full-length seasons, people are not really too bothered about retiring. They're not really too bothered about track position. I think they only really care if they get points, which is... It's fair enough, but we want to see the racing. It's always good to see racing wherever they are on the field.
But coming into the last lap now, Ty Clear has closed the gap and should get DRS to Ollie Bean for P6. And Craig Conley still fighting it out behind Young Himi Dimes, but surely Young Himi Dimes going to be taking it home as he's had way better pace through the sectors. We'll have a look at
Keeping an eye on this battle. Craig Conley is catching, and he appears to be just about holding on in the first sector, but I think he needs to be a little bit closer if he wants to make an overtake. Oh, he's just missed the apex of turn 6. It's not helping him. He's lost 2/10, and I think that'll be all she wrote for the battle between Young Himmy Dimes and Craig Conley for P3, unfortunately. He locks up for good measure.
Well, we'll have a little look at the battle between Ollie Bean and Ty Clear. Will Ty Clear have DRS? Looks pretty close. He should have it. He does. So we'll see if he can get the push down the DRS straight and potentially make a move on Ollie Bean to gain P6. But I don't know if he will have quite enough. Unless he makes a massive lunge, but Ollie Bean did take the inside for good measure. As Craig Conley, well, Niall crossing the line, Arrow 12 seconds behind, followed by Young Himmy Dimes. Craig Conley, who will surely be getting P4, and Young Himmy Dimes guaranteeing himself a podium here in the sprint race. So,
It's a brilliant drive from Niall. I mean, whatever he lost in that qualifying, he definitely gained it in the race. And Craig Conley, he fought really hard in that final sector to try and get P3, but it just wasn't to be, unfortunately. He tried a little dive bomb, but he didn't make contact. It just he didn't quite make the corner. Very unfortunate for him. Good drive from Ollie Bean to get P6. Destructo P5, just sitting there, keeping clear of any accidents, getting a good points paying position. D Sommers with the final points position, I believe, in P8. Brilliant drives all round. A few not so ideal incidents and quite a few retirements, but overall a good race.
So we have a little bit of insight as to what happened with the lanky one. Apparently Lime spun and managed to take out the lanky one's wing. And Pneumatic saying that was like driving through the beaches of Normandy, which I don't believe is an understatement in the slightest. We saw absolute chaos on track in the first few laps. And Niall did say that he's never fought with the back end of a car quite as much as he did with his Formula 2 car, but he made it look easy, claiming P1 here in the sprint race at Texas.
I must be doing something wrong because I fight with the rear end 24/7 when I'm in Formula 1, so I must be doing something wrong if he's finding Formula 2 is where the issue is.
Well, see, I've noticed since Ledgeman has been doing the Formula 2 races, he has spun significantly more than he did in the Formula 1 cars. So there might be some truth to that.
I know, I completely get that the F2 cars are harder, but if he's like, yeah, he's just so good at the F1 cars. Even if he's struggling in the Formula 2 car, he's still lightning quick. It's insane.
So, a few things to note is Young Himmy Dimes started P16, finished P3, and Pneumatic went from P18 to P9. So, excellent drive from the racers there. And
really, really impressive drives from those guys.
Just have a quick look through the race director and the incidents. Quite a few considering it was a sprint race. So, found that to be fairly amusing, but here is your finishers: Niall, Arrow, Young Himmy Dimes, Craig Conley, Destructo, Ollie Bean, Ty Clear, D Sommers, Pneumatic, Sci-Fi, Mega Hype. So, Lime apologizing to the lanky one in the chat, calling himself an idiot. Such a crap race for me, for God's sakes. The lanky one saying, all good, wasn't your fault. Nice battle up to that. And Pneumatic saying, just hope the momentum stays. As he was able to make up 9 places.
I have some crucial information for the main race. It may rain at the end.
Ooh, would love to see that, to be honest.
So currently the weather says light cloud, no rain expected. But when I look at the graph, it definitely shows rain at the end. So this could be very interesting for the main race, which does involve a mandatory pit stop. So it'll be interesting to see how the strategies play out, whether people will go mediums to super softs or super softs to mediums. It always makes it a bit more spicy right at the end. I mean, if rain comes in as well, what do you do? Do you stay on the mediums until the rain comes and struggle, or do you start on the softs, then change to the mediums and charge on fresher mediums until the rain? It's going to be really interesting to see.
I mean, the
how
rain
the
might not
strategies play
even
out.
come. That's the thing. It could be a false weather prediction.
Yeah, you never know with this game. You never know.
Just a quick
But
shout
I
out
will
to
keep
Craig
you up to
Conley.
date.
Thank you very much for the cheer of 100 bits. It is always appreciated. Thank you very much. Just have to get that out there. Always got to shout out any kind of donation we get. Ooh. So SNZ, I believe, was the culprit for readying up early, and he has already had one of those that
Yeah,
he
that'll
did.
be
Ooh,
that'll be
Pneumatic
either
says
a
he's
quali ban
forced
or
on
a race ban.
softs.
Oh,
That's interesting.
that's
So he's
interesting.
unable to change his tire for the start. Young Humidines saying, "Are you trying to go on mediums?" There is a bug in the game where it doesn't let you change your tire at the start of the race, right?
That is true, although I'm not sure how the F1 game relates to real life.
Yeah.
Whether in the game you have to start on the softs, I don't know.
F1 Lime
But we
saying,
will
"I'm
see.
sorry, Scones. I'm such an idiot. Hashtag no Lime redemption arc." Oh, come on, mate. You still got the full race to go. You didn't really ruin
Yeah.
anybody's race, other than Lanky's, I guess, but you didn't kill him, and that's the important thing. Plenty of opportunities to do so in the main race. Make sure you avoid all of them. Ooh, so Pneumatic is apparently stuck on the soft tire and is unable to edit the strategy for stints, even if he changes the second stint. But with that, we've got the lights going up with 5 lights, and away we go. WHF Arrow and Nile on the front of the row. Coming into turn 1, Arrow seems to be losing a little bit of pace, but now going to take the inside line. And Arrow going on the outside. Who's going to get the better exit? As it appears Arrow does. And as we come into the S's, we've got a few position changes. Kevin Cal into P5. Ollie Bean to his left on the outside. As they go into the S's, a line of 4 cars now. And Lai moving his way on up to P10. Ty Clear falling in massively. Venus Gaming, something's definitely happened back there. As he may have gone round.
Yeah, Venus Gaming has had a spin in the first sector. Maybe he's got going again. So there'll be no safety car. Yeah, according to the weather thing, it says light rain in 30 minutes. We'll probably be over by then, but you never know. Depends whether there's safety cars.
F1
And
Lime.
Craig Conley is.
Oh, I thought it was Lime that maybe
Craig
caused that.
Conley's gone for a spin. I think that may have been caused by Lime, unfortunately. I saw someone go to the inside and someone get spun. Not quite sure who the culprit was, though.
So Nile was able to get ahead of Arrow coming out of the main straight. As we see the back end of his car, as he was saying, fighting with the back end as he started losing it. And Destructo now having a little sniff around the inside of Arrow. But Arrow managing to keep himself ahead. But Destructo looks like he's got a lot of pace. Really getting aggressive on the rear end of Arrow. Could see a little bit of a dive coming into the last corner. Ooh, he looks like he wanted to, but decided not to at the last second. As we make our way onto the main straight, Nile appears to have a little bit extra pace as he opens up the gap to 6 tenths. Almost said 6 seconds, and that would have been very incorrect. But Destructo matching Arrow's pace beautifully. Obviously, he is on the soft tire, so that means he'll be a bit quicker in the turns. But Arrow holds on for now. grasping that P2 position. Still around 0.6 seconds to Nile, who's leading the race.
Just thought I'd talk you through the big gainers of this race. I mean, Destructo, off of the start, getting into P3, he's up 3 positions. The lanky one has got up to P7, he's up 4 positions. Younghimi Dimes is on the back of Ollie Bean, and he's in P10, started P17, he's up 7 positions. He's doing really well at the beginning of this race.
Yep, certainly not a small feat to make up 7 positions in basically a lap and a half. So the biggest
wanted to give you a little bit of an update in terms of why Destructo and D Summers and Kevin Cowell are possibly keeping up with Nile and Aero. They've all decided to start on the softs, whereas Aero and Nile have started on the mediums, which is probably why there was a bit of a pace offset between them at the beginning of this race, but it will soon go back to normal in a few laps' time. Codzilla is also on the mediums, Lanky one on the softs, Ty Clear mediums, Ollie Bean softs, Younghimi Dimes mediums, and from then on 3 softs, 2 mediums, 1 soft, 2 more mediums. It's a massive diversity in what people have chosen to go for as their starting tyre, and it's going to be really interesting come the end of the race to see how that plays out.
Absolutely. I mean, it is pretty close to a 50-50 split between which cars have gone for which tire. But we do see a few gaps opening now. So Godzilla falling off 1.8 seconds as we see Younghimi Dimes trying to maybe make a move on the inside of Ollie Bean. Doesn't quite get the exit he wanted as we come into the S's. And Ty Clear would be happy to see a battle happen between those two as he's trying to maybe get away from Ollie Bean. So SNZ will have to serve a race ban for the next race, I believe. Currently sits in P11 just behind Younghimi Dimes. So a little bit of a group formed there between P8 and P11 with F1 Lime bringing up P12. So he hasn't fully murdered anybody yet, but I imagine Craig Conley's not going to be too happy with him if he was the person to cause that incident just before the DRS straight.
I'm not 100% sure if it was him, because there was a big gaggle of cars all together in that corner, so I'm not going to say it was him. And to be fair, for Lime, he's doing a really good job sitting in P12, keeping himself to himself, but the main thing is that he hasn't spun out yet.
So Nile
Commentators cursing pending.
Nile and Arrow were going at it a little bit, but Nile pulling away from Arrow a little bit. And they've kind of set themselves apart from the remainder of the pack as they open up the gap to P3 up to 1.7 seconds. And bear in mind, they are on the medium tire, which is the slower tire. So
I think three laps is a reasonable amount of time for the soft tires to start getting a bit hot, start to overheat, and not be quite as effective. And for the medium tyres to start sort of coming into their own. It will be interesting when everyone swaps around to see whether those soft tyres hold on. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how long Aero and Nile will take the medium tyres, because I suppose if they can get a free pit stop, if they can gap the field by 10, 15, 20 seconds, then they can just pit whenever they want. But it's going to be an interesting one. They're going to stick it out for as long as they can, and I suppose hope for a safety car to give themselves a free pit stop, but it's going to be interesting come to the end. The soft runners, I'm not really sure about the ideal strategy, but I wouldn't be waiting too long until I would go into the pits off of those softs, because they already look like they're not quite on par with the mediums.
we could potentially see Kevin Cowell make a move on Younghimi Dimes as he seems to be gaining a little bit coming onto the DRS straight, but backs out, decides not to try and make a move down the inside, which may have been the smart choice. And Ty Clear does get ahead of Ollie Bean coming out the DRS straight, and we see Younghimi Dimes going a little bit wide out of the corner. Craig Conley has moved up a couple of positions, hoping to recover his race. Currently trails by 6 seconds as he's got LTJ Ellis for company coming out of the DRS straight. But 6 seconds, not a small feat to try and make up, though. That is the problem.
Craig Conley he's made the move stick on Ellis, and he's going to just try and keep his head down. We know he's got a reasonable pace around here, so hopefully we can see him catch up. And then obviously, if there's a safety car, then everything will be neutralised, and he can go on to the softs to the end. So we'll see what happens. As we see the first soft runners pit already, Kevin Cowell
might be going for a bit of
and the
undercut.
91. Yeah, I mean, he's, as I said, those soft tyres, I don't think they're very good.
Oh, that was not good. I believe that might have been, I don't know who that was. Might have been Lime into turn 1 making contact with, I think it was Young Himi Dimes or SNZ. I'm not really too familiar with the constructors in Formula 2, but I do believe that was F1 Lime. Got very scrappy coming out of turn 1.
I think if you're listening, Lime, I think your best bet is to just hang on to these guys, stick with the DRS, don't make any moves, just try and stick with it if you can. I think he's just he may be showing frustration to the people ahead of him. I'm not quite sure what happened in the incident, but let's just see what he can do. Don't make any outrageous moves. If you can make a clean overtake, go for it, but just get some good points, get a good position.
Make a dive for the inside on SNZ, able to complete the move before the corner just about, and gets a half decent exit. So SNZ's still on him, but Lime, as long as he keeps it clean, should be able to close the gap to the drivers in front, because Young Himi Dimes, Ollie Bean and Ty Clear should be fighting for that P6 position soon, but Ty Clear 5 seconds behind Godzilla, who's a little bit on his own there, and has some work to do to catch up to.
Oh, D Summers gets a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. That's really unfortunate for his race. He was fighting for third, and that's going to put him way down the order, unfortunately.
But with the gaps, I think he may still be able to recover a half-decent position just by how big some of the gaps are.
That is very true. We've just got to see. Coming out in P13, I think he'll come out ahead of Kevin Cowell, who was fighting with him for that P3 spot. The thing about Kevin is he's going to know that he doesn't really need to fight D Summers. As long as D Summers has a reasonable pace, he can just stick with him, keep in a rhythm, and he will finish ahead of him come the end of the race.
Could see Young Himi Dimes finally make a move on Ollie Bean as we head onto the DRS straight. It's going to be about who's going to get the better exit and have more straight line speed. Young Himi Dimes is able to close that gap. Just a hair over a tenth in the gap. Surely we see a dive into the corner as he almost is side by side. Ollie Bean going for a very late braking there. And Young Himi Dimes unable to make the move. So good defensive driving from Ollie Bean.
It was a very good. You could see Young Himi Dimes. He had to brake a little bit earlier because he was on the inside. He didn't have as big of a space to. He had to turn a bit tighter to the corner. He had to brake earlier, and very good driving from Ollie Bean to be able to brake later and make the corner. I think we are starting to see, though, that the... Whoa!
Young Himi Dimes makes contact with Ollie Bean. Oh my god, Ollie Bean is out. Surely we see a safety car. That is
safety car is
huge.
That is
unfortunate from Young Himi Dimes. Because he's done a me.
So that was a really unfortunate situation. I was thinking that... What I was about to say, actually, is that you can see that the soft tyres were starting to go off. The medium tyres were definitely the better race tyre. Young Himi Dimes was obviously wanting to go for the overtake into the final corner, but at the same time, Ollie Bean had decided he wanted to go into the pits, and as Young Himi Dimes started to make the move to the inside to go for the overtake, that was when Ollie Bean went for the move to go into the pits, and they collided. That was really unfortunate.
Well, for a change, it isn't F1 Lime that's caused the safety car, but instead Young Himi Dimes, who in Baku was on the receiving end of something similar that I caused. So I know exactly how he's feeling right now.
for once, F1 Lime is going to get a massive advantage from a safety car. He's got, I mean, sitting in P5, the people he was fighting with have pitted. He's going to pit and hopefully jump out ahead of them because of the safety car advantage.
Now
This is
would
going to
be
be
the time to pit.
interesting.
So,
And he's going to go onto the mediums, which will last the end.
so it'll be interesting to see what the front runners do, because obviously the with the front runners, they will have to try and make
would you
the
like a
soft
rain
spots.
update, my good friend?
Yes, please.
Light rain will appear in 11 minutes.
Now, the
Now,
race should be
judging
over by then,
it's going to be close as to whether the race is over by the time the rain arrives.
especially with the safety
And I think
car.
it's also going to be. I mean, if the rain. Whoa, Lime. What was that? Lime?
Lime. Why not
Lime?
pit? Lime, what, mate? You're
Lime?
bottling it again.
Lime? I think he can hear us. Why did he do that?
Lime, you are bottling it again, mate. That was your opportunity to pit.
What?
You stress me the fuck out, man.
Did he, I think he may have driven into the pits and not wanting to get a pit lane penalty paused the game, and the AI has driven him out of the pits. And this has really hurt Lime's... Oh, Lime. He's caught the safety car now. That is really unfortunate. If you can hear us, Lime, please do pit. I don't think there's any point in staying out, but...
Those softs are gone. Yep, and he's just...
Oh.
Those softs are gone, mate. What are you doing?
Oh, mate, oh, that's so horrible, man.
This man's gonna give me a heart attack. Okay? Like,
Yeah.
brother, your redemption arc.
I mean, if he's not careful, he's going to start being called, you know, the WHF Lance Stroll.
What do you mean, start? Oh. It's just like bad decision after bad decision. So if he pits now, he'll probably come out around P12.
I really hope Lime can confirm for us that he did drive, because he drove into the pits, and then the car suddenly just swerved out of the pits, and I can only assume he paused the game. And when you pause the game, the AI is like, why am I going into the pits? I shouldn't be here. And drives you back out. I did that when I was at Monza, and I paused the game, and the car was going at about 180 miles an hour, just drove into the wall, because it swerved trying to get out of the pits, even though I was going into the pit lane.
He's still not pitting.
It happens.
Oh, now he's pitting.
No, he is. He is. There
Now
we go.
he went
Now
to
just
AI
go nice
again.
and slow. Oh. Okay,
Mate,
look,
you
this isn't the
stress
end of the
me
world.
out so
There are
much.
people with penalties. Aero has a penalty.
I think
didn't
he's
even
going to
notice.
appeal that one. He said in the Discord chat that he didn't get any warnings. He just got a straight pen.
Ah, it's so unfortunate.
What?
Right,
Kevin? Kevin?
Kevin has decided to go on the wet tires.
Like, even if it rained, that's not the
Despite
best
that-
tire to be on.
I mean, I'm not. No, there's no intermediate tire for
Oh,
for
is there
Formula
not?
2 cars. You only get the wets.
So Kevin having a bit of a gamble now.
I mean, light rain is in 7 minutes. I'm not sure it's going to be any advantage to him being on those wet tires, but I do love an alternative strategy, and Kevin does
Well, we
tend to do those.
probably have, what, 2 more laps of safety car?
Yeah, we've got to wait for everyone to join the field. Destructo and Godzilla appear to be having a bit of a... Something very strange is going on. I'm not 100% sure whether Godzilla has maybe overtaken Destructo somehow, or vice versa. That was odd. I think everything is sorted out now. Um,
Pneumatic has not pitted under the safety car. He's on 6-lap old softs. And earlier in the race, he did say that he got F1 limed. So, and he has also said, "Thank you God, I was just about to retire." Bean Does Gaming says, "What happened was I went to box and Himmy Dimes stuck a wheel in at the same time. That was likely at the same time. Just an unfortunate incident there. It isn't a ticket, just unfortunate. We literally turned at the same time. Very unfortunate." Yeah, you know, it could have been a lot better.
yeah, I mean,
But it does happen. It's just sad because you guys look like you were going to have a bit of a battle in the coming laps. And sad to see it end the way it did.
it's annoying because it's the smallest of contact, and because of the game's physics engine, it just sent them both spinning, whereas it would have just knocked a bit of his front wing off in real life.
So as we start lap 10, I believe the safety car should be in this lap. Pneumatic still has not pitted. I can't imagine those softs will be good for much longer, and he's still 6 laps left to go. So 13 lap old softs by the end.
I have another rain update. Rain will be hitting in 5 minutes' time, which means rain will come in before the end of the race. Kevin Cow may have played the best strategy.
So probably on like the second to last lap, the rain will start. So is
Yes,
Liam in,
and
or is he just in the pause menu?
sorry, who?
Liam, P15.
No, it looks like he's not in the game. Does he need an invite?
I think he does. Send him an invite anyway, because now would be the time to join. I didn't even see a left the session.
I'm not sure if I have him, unfortunately. I think he got an invite from someone last time, hopefully. Yeah, I know I don't have him, unfortunately.
So he's all the way down in P15, and it looks like all of the field has now caught up, so we should have safety car in this lap. And Niall will be the one to start us off in the car of Isaac Hadjar, who is actually doing pretty well in Formula One, despite the memes of, "No, I broke the car."
I mean, that was the first race, and it was wet. And since then, Hadjar has more than proved himself to be in Formula One.
Absolutely. Was it him who's not had a Q1 elimination so far?
I have a feeling that may be the truth. But safety cars coming in. Niall will be leading us away very shortly.
So we'll go on board with Arrow, as he'll have the best view of the restart. Or possibly Cod, who's all the way up in P3. You do love to see it. He was a contender for the Formula 2 championship. But Niall going to get us going. And as we make our way over to turn 1, hopefully all the drivers can keep it clean. Liam making up a position. Oh, sorry, conceding and then getting it back. Venus Gaming getting an overtake on Liam now up to P16. Liam falling down to P17. Pneumatic on those 8-lap old soft tires. Surely not the right move to be making. But Kevin Cal now up to P12. So Arrow and Niall fiercely battling and also getting away through the S's. So as they open up the gap to 0.6 seconds to Cod. So
Kevin is fading. Kevin is fading. He's really struggling on these wet tires.
It started
and there is
raining.
a massive crash
It has started
between
raining.
Newtomatic and Sci-Fi Mega Hype, and the rain has come down. This race could not get any more dramatic if it tried.
Oh my goodness.
Kevin Cowell,
should start to feel the advantage of those wet tires in the next lap or two. So Venus Gaming, the latest defender for track limits, up to it. I believe that's a 6-second penalty he'll have now. No, 3 seconds. LTJ Ellis, the only one with the 6 second. Ty Clear getting ahead of the lanky one. as they go down the DRS straight. And Ty Clear going to take the inside line, the lanky one hot on his tail, with SNZ front row seat to the battle happening ahead of him. F1 Lime getting ahead of Ledger's spin. So Lime now up to P10. And we see
I have to say, at this moment in time, Kevin could win. Pit stops take longer in Formula 2, and I'm not sure how long people are going to be able to survive on these soft tyres, or the mediums, because the rain is coming down now.
Something also to note is there's a good chance that there won't be any DRS with the track conditions being wet. D. Sommer's picking up a second 10-second penalty. Oh, we've got a
Godzilla,
caution.
Destructo, Lanky One, Craig Conley, they're all coming in for the wet tyres. This is playing into Kevin Cowell's hands to
Who's
get
making
brilliant.
up massive amounts of position all the way up to P7 for Kevin Cowell, and everybody ahead of him is on a dry tyre. So he's the only person on the ideal tyre now, and he is closing the gap.
Can't believe that we laughed him off when he went onto the wets.
He was the only person. Confused.
He just knew. Somehow he knew that the game was going to throw very difficult wet weather at him, and he's pretty much got the win in the bag, depending on whether Niall and Aero can survive on these dry tyres.
Well, I don't know, that gap to P2 from P3 is 6 seconds, so he's probably got, where's the interval? Change that to leader. He is 15 seconds behind the leader, and I don't know if 4 laps or 3.5 laps is going to be enough to make up that sort of time.
Yeah, I think possibly Niall and Aero. I think all the people that are still on the dry tyres will stay on the dry tyres. It just depends whether they can survive. But if they were to pit, then they will obviously lose track position to Kevin Cowell, who is flying now, catching up to the people ahead of him. The track is definitely wet now.
Yeah, Young Hemi Dives and D. Sommer's battling a little bit in not ideal track conditions, but Kevin Cowell is loving that they're battling, as he's probably going to get an easy double overtake in the next few turns. As we can see, he's just got
just how much more grip he's got. This is going to be really interesting. And Aero and Niall have pitted.
Kevin Cowell could be on for a win here, as the only drivers ahead of him will be SNZ and Ty Clear. And
I don't know if you noticed, but Kevin, when everyone was diving into the pits, he knew that someone would try and cut across to go to the pits, so he moved his car towards the pit lane so he would avoid contact. And that is how he became Tier 2 champion, because this track is definitely very wet. D. Sommers has crashed. I think he was... Did he retire in the pits? He must have done.
He did. So here we're going to see Kevin Cowell take the lead from SNZ, who made the very incorrect choice of staying out on those medium tires. And you can see just how much he's struggling. That rear end is all over the place, and he's got no turn in whatsoever. So Kevin Cowell now going to be winning the race, certainly, as the gap to the nearest person on wets is up to 9 seconds. And Niall is an incredible driver, but surely not enough to make up 9 seconds in 3 laps. Or 3.5 laps, rather.
I wouldn't be so sure. These guys are incredibly fast, as we've seen throughout this race, and qualifying, and the sprint race. The gap is already down. No, it's still the same to Kevin Cowell. I'm just watching the gap shrink to SNZ.
Oh yeah, that is true. I was looking at that as well. I'm like, this guy's making up like 4 seconds in half a lap on Kevin Cowell. He's basically Verstappen and Senna had a baby. Like, no, but that's just the gap to SNZ, who is really, really struggling on those medium tires. He's got 0 grip whatsoever, basically ice skating out there. He'd probably have more luck if he was just driving on the rims themselves.
Problem with SNZ is it's either you try and survive or you finish out of the points, and I think he's probably going to just try and survive this one. No, he's going into the pits. it's probably the smarter option.
Oh, as
but
he's binned it into the wall. Make sure you change
That
your
is
wing
so-
settings. Make sure you get your wing fixed. Nice and slow. Get your wing fixed. Change the option. Oh, but Kevin Cal is on for a win here. That gap still just shy of 8 seconds to Niall. With around 3 laps to go.
I really didn't think that me saying that Kevin Cowell is inevitable would once again lead him to be nowhere near the lead to being in the lead with 2 laps to go.
So SNZ has managed to fix his wing, and he's going to be coming out of the pits right around his teammate, I believe. So Lanky won the latest defender for track limits. We'll take a look at all the penalties we have currently. So everybody with 3 seconds, with the exception of LTJ, Ellis, and Nudomatic having 6 seconds each respectively.
I'd just like to make an honourable mention that F1 Lime is currently in the points.
With no
just wanna
penalties, mind you.
You know what? From the sprint race, something has obviously clicked. You've figured out something, and it's really good to see. P7 finish is brilliant from you, mate. Keep going.
Although something to note is Nudomatic did say that there was contact between them. I don't recall I think that may have been in the main race. And Condzilla and Destructo now having a little battle because they go side by side. But Destructo does seem to have a better exit. Condzilla's still having a little look. He's saying, I'm still here. But Destructo getting the better exit and opening up the gap a little bit more.
It's so tricky in these treacherous conditions. If you wanted to go for an overtake, you've got to make sure that you are 100% going to make it.
Especially with like people that aren't really used to the Formula 2 cars having less braking. And that's just amplified in the wet.
Oh, 100%.
So the closest
like,
gap we have is Condzilla and Destructor. That battle for P4, which could potentially translate. That could translate to a podium for whoever's in P4, considering Arrow has that 3-second penalty, which he may be able to get removed. But if it's not, that's a guaranteed podium for whoever's in P4. So, God, if you are listening, get the hammer down and try and get that position from Destructo. Obviously, keep it on track. Try not to get a track limits warning yourself. But Destructo is maintaining that gap to Arrow right around the 2-second mark. He seems to be struggling with the back end a little bit coming out of the S's.
Yeah, this is not easy conditions at all, and I think people are just wanting to make it to the end rather than trying to make any overtakes here. As much as COD would love that P4 and possible P3, I think you've just got to think about not betting it at this point. I just wanted to mention that Niall has reduced the gap to Kevin to 3 seconds, which I don't think is enough for him to win this race, but it is going to be really close. He's just gained another half a second in 2 corners. Kevin must be really struggling considering his tyres are 4 laps older, and he had to do that running on the dry track, which would have overheated his tyres.
He's made up another
This could
half a
still
tenth.
be
It's
a
down to
win for
2
Niall.
seconds. And he is gaining massively on Kevin. How on earth is he doing this? He
These
may
tyres
actually
that
snatch the win from Kevin as that gap now shrinks to 1.3 seconds. Obviously, won't get DRS because of the conditions. But, my God, as we come onto the final lap, that gap just 1.2 seconds down the main straight.
Kevin has got to do the most defensive driving of his life if he wants to get that win.
I don't know if he's got it. He does seem like he's struggling a little bit. He's fighting with the car coming out of turn 1.
Oh, Niall with the fresher tyres, the cooler tyres, the tyres that haven't had to be on a dry track getting overheated.
Niall, don't. Just get a penalty or something, mate. No. You're too quick. No.
Niall really proving how he is one of the fastest at the F1 game.
Well, you don't get 4th in the world. You don't get 4th in the world time trial in Monaco if you're not quick. But this is ridiculous.
Look for a move down the inside. Oh,
Who's
very
going to get
close,
the
very
better
close.
exit? Oh, he loses the back end, but still manages to stay alongside and gets ahead. I think we
Side
need
by
to.
side down the back straight.
I think we need to have a look
Niles
at
got the
somebody's
speed.
car. Come on, Kevin. This needs to be the third sector of your life, mate.
Looks like the third sector is not an easy sector to overtake, and it looks like Niall might have the legs on him. It's a brilliant drive from Kevin, making the strategy work, being in the lead. I mean, that is incredible.
Well,
Finishing P2 is no mean feat. No easy feat, I mean.
I'm sure he'll take solace in the fact that if Niall wasn't with us tonight, he would have won with a fairly large gap, and it was all down to him opting for those wet tires and making the right call.
Rounding the final corner, Niall will take the lead from Kevin. Aero P3.
With a 3-second penalty.
Destructo will take P3 provisionally from Aero. Codzilla unfortunately picked up a penalty, will end up P5. Lanky One comes home in P6. Lime, with no penalties, kept it on the track. Brilliant drive, drifts over the line. P7 from him, and Ty Clear gets P8. Craig Conley will get P9, and for the final points paying position, Ellis will come over the line for
Young Hemi
P10.
Dimes should have it because of the 6 seconds of penalties that Legispin managed to pick up.
I wasn't looking at. Thank you very much for correcting me.
And SNZ and Sci-Fi Mega Hype bringing up P14 and 15. We had a few DNFs. The Lanky One says GG's in the chat. So it was a very entertaining race. Thank you to everybody who did race this evening. It's been an absolute pleasure. F1 Lime getting driver of the day. Hashtag F1 Lime redemption arc. So we'll go over to Race Party 1 under F2 and see if anybody wants an interview. Alrighty, so there you have it. Your winner is going to be Niall, who managed to just barely get ahead of... Wait, why did... What? Why does it say Kevin Cowell finished... Oh, because it takes the average from the sprint and the feature race. So there you have it. Niall, Kevin, Destructo, Arrow, who may potentially get his penalty removed, Conzilla, the Lanky One, F1 Lime, Ty Clear, Craig Conley, Young Hemi Dimes, LTJ, Alice, Venus Gaming, Pneumatic, SNZ, and then we'll just get the race director. Oh, didn't have enough time for the race director, but with that, we will start off with the game's driver of the day, F1 Lime. How do you feel the race went for you? Obviously, managing to bag, I believe it was P7.
Yeah, I mean, it depends what race you're talking about, a sprint race or
So
a feature race.
How do you feel the sprint went for you, first of all?
Absolute dog water. I started it, I was pretty good, and then catching up to people. Sci-Fi went deep. I went on the inside, and he just came straight onto the racing line, straight into my car. I went round, then Cod went into me and just broke my front wing. And then I forgot to change it, so I was stuck with a broken front wing, which wasn't too bad. I caught up to Ellis and overtook him, and then I spun, killed Lanky One, and then I just retired in the pits because I was like, oh, what's the point?
Well, that was
main race.
unfortunate, but we did spot when you pitted that you didn't get the wing replaced. We were saying you've probably forgotten to set it to yes under the
Yeah, I
pit menu.
did. Yeah, I forgot you need to do that.
So not an ideal sprint race, but how do you feel the feature race went for you this evening?
Feature race was eventful. I made quite a few mistakes around. I had contact with a few people, especially turn one. I got distracted by my FD and went straight into the side of I can't remember who it was. Someone
Might have been pneumatic if you're talking about the incident on turn one.
under one, but it was a black car. It wasn't a Trident. It was another black car. Um,
Ooh, we do have a
and-
question though. When Nile and Arrow pitted, you looked like you went into the pit lane and then swerved out at the last second. What happened there?
yeah, I paused my game. I was very hopeful that my AI would just go with it, but no. And then when I came back, I was kind of like, my engineer was telling me rain in like 2 minutes, and I was like, do I stick it out on these shelves? And then as soon as it rains, go onto wets. I didn't, which I could have probably got a better result from that, but
You know what's
whatever.
funny is if you'd gone onto the wets off of that safety car, you probably would have placed a little bit better because we saw Kevin Cal do a similar strategy and come out on wets, and he finished P2.
He was behind me, so I would have been like with him.
Yeah, you could have potentially been in line for a podium.
Oh well, I'll take P7.
Yeah, P7's better than a DNF.
Yeah, I do apologize to those I made contact with. That was not intentional. It was either me getting distracted or me just being blatantly tired. I tried my best. Because qualifying, I absolutely botched it, spun, and then went deep into turn one. So I was kind of on the back foot since then, but I'll take a P7 recovery.
Yeah,
Not too
not
bad.
So thank you very much, Lime, and we'll move on to the podiums in just a bit. But first, I'd like to get a little bit of input from Young Himmy Dimes and Ollie Bean, who had a bit of a coming together, obviously causing that safety car. So who'd like to go first and just have a little bit of a chat about the incident?
Yeah, it was nobody's fault really. It's not ticket worthy at all. It's just stuff happens. As I went to turn into the pit lane, that's when Dimes stuck a wheel in. It's nobody's fault. Like it just happens. It's not ticket worthy or anything.
Yeah, I agree. I just found that I had a bit more traction, thought I could get it, and just last moment saw that you're trying to go for the pits. So
yeah, like it's nobody's fault. Things happen. It's just how it is sometimes. Yeah, really.
I was quite disappointed by the incident because you guys had a good amount of little battling going on there, and I was really enjoying seeing you guys. So there was times when it looked like Young Himi Dimes might try and make a move for the inside and then back out because I guess he didn't have the pace, or where he was going on the inside, and then Ollie Bean would kind of break a little bit later and have a really good defensive move. It was very interesting to watch. So I was quite disappointed to see that incident, and obviously Ollie Bean being taken out, which is unfortunate. But as you said, not really anybody's fault.
It's nobody's fault. It just happens sometimes. It's just we were hard battling as well as Ty Clear as well. We were like three-way battling. Me and Ty Clear were swapping positions a few times, and yeah, it just happens really. There's not much else to really say on it. It's just unfortunate.
to be fair, I would blame the game model because my POV you hardly even touch me. So
oh yeah, and I hardly even touched the wall as well. Just everything fell off. So it's just how it happens.
Yeah, if we get a clip of it, we need to insert the the Lego bricks breaking sound effect.
Yeah, yeah. I'll send the footage over. I'll send it to like Arrow or something like that. But yeah.
Yeah, I reckon today's race will result in a pretty eventful highlight clip. But yeah, we will move on to Arrow, who would potentially have had P3, but I believe he got a penalty that he may be able to appeal. Because I think you said in the chat you didn't get a warning; it was just straight to the pen.
Yeah, basically, whenever me and Neil were battling, and I think I just got distracted by something, and then I just cut turn one, and it immediately gave me a pen and not just a warning. So then I thought I could get removed, but then I think I got 2 more warnings. So it would definitely have been a warning, but a straight pen was questionable. But at the end of the day, I would have had 3 warnings anyway. So I would have the pen regardless. So
That is
I think I finish
unfortunate.
it.
It was quite interesting to see you and Niall. Just the raw pace you guys seem to have against the rest of the field. Obviously, starting on the medium tires, and watching you guys pull away even to the soft runners. Didn't really see too much of you guys battling, because usually when the move was made, it was either swapped back immediately or it would stick. And then I think Niall got away from you a little bit before the safety car, and then after the safety car, and then obviously with the wets, you both pitted, but obviously you had that pen, so just shy of a podium. Do you feel the sprint race maybe went a little bit better for you than the feature race?
Not really. Kind of identical to Belgium, where me and Neil get through the pack, and then Neil's already 3 seconds up the road. So then I just kind of got bored, and then just started chatting to my chat, and then just couldn't really be bothered sweating it out. And then the feature race, I was having a bit more fun. Me and Neil were battling for a while, and then we were still together before the safety car came out. And then onto the restart, we were still relatively together, but then the rain, I just kept making loads of massive mistakes under traction. In the final sector, he would just disappear because I just had no traction at all. I was losing the car in fourth, so I was like, well, I don't really know what more to do. But
I think something's got to be done. If Niall wants to race you, I think there's got to be something like he's only allowed to use one of his feet or chop off one of his arms or something. He's just too quick, man. He's just way too quick.
No, if the whole race were dry, I definitely could have beat him. But in the wet, I just was not used to it. Hadn't done any wet practice at all, so he just adapted better, and that's all it really comes down to.
You know, I think the wet weather would have been missed if there wasn't the safety car. I think it would have maybe come in on the very last lap. But very, very good race from yourself, as well as the inevitable winner. Niall, how do you feel the feature race and sprint race went for you this evening?
Well, it feels good. With not more than a few laps of practice, I'll take it, to be fair. Didn't come very easily, though. Especially in a sprint race, I think I also had to make the moves very, very quickly early on. Yes, I did that successfully, but like Arrow was talking about, it's in the sprint race especially, but not so much in the feature race. But the back end just sped away super quickly. Felt like as time progressed, it got a bit better, I think, the back end, but yeah, overall I had to fight the car a lot, so I still took the win, so it's fine.
So something very notable in the feature race, after you and Arrow pitted for the wet tires, the race leader at the time, Kevin Cowell, had a gargantuan 9-second gap, which you were able to close in those laps, and then able to get ahead and stay ahead on the, I believe it was the final 2 laps that you managed to close. I want to say it was about 2.5 seconds that you managed to close just in those laps. How do you feel those laps went for you? Were you like fully locked in? You just hit every apex perfectly?
As long as I just kept it on the road, I would have been okay. To be honest, I just knew, no major mistake, I'm going to catch him anyway. I'm 3 seconds a lap faster. It's not going to be, I don't need to go lock in. Well, I was a bit locked in, to be fair, but, I just kept it on the island. But tell you what, I almost didn't keep it on the island. Well, before I pitted, anyway, from beautiful wets at the end, I did have a humongous moment in the fast corners, so I will send that clip in actually, because it is something else. But yeah, I knew I'd catch him, so wasn't too worried. Just knew I had to make a move somewhere, and yeah, paid off.
Yeah, well, congratulations on the results you've managed to pull away with this evening. Will you be racing next week?
That's probably, yeah.
Excellent.
So I've done the race at Austria before, so I know what not to do, I guess. But yeah, we'll see.
Well, I look forward to seeing what you manage to do on track next week in Austria. Thank you very much for the chat, and we'll have a little talk with Nudomatic. How do you feel the sprint and feature race went for you? I did see in the chat that you said you got F1 limed.
Yeah, it wasn't Lime who did it. It was just a very Lime thing to do. I think it was Vernos Gaming, or however you pronounce it. It was lap 1 or 2, and I had a bump with whoever was in front of me, damaged my wing. Coming into the chicane area, he just ripped left, like he was dragged from beyond, and then came shooting back across. So that put me about a minute down. So when the safety car came out, it was heavens rejoice. That's why I was a bit happy in the chat. Well, I guess a bit happy is an understatement.
Well, that is accurate. You said in all caps, "Yes, I need this. Thank you, God. I was just about to retire."
I was there. I was halfway through the lap, and I was like, "I'm just going to pull in and call it a day." And then I saw the safety car. I was like, "There is hope yet."
So I might have missed where you finished on the grid. What position did you manage to walk away with?
It was P13, I believe, after going from 18th to 7th to 18th.
That's not bad. And I think in the sprint you managed to do a 18th to 9th, correct?
Yeah, 18th. That was a different animal compared to the feature race, because that wasn't a race, it was a game of survival. I was actually quite happy to be at the back for once, because I stayed out of the chaos. I think turn 1, about 4 people died, and then through the chicane a few more went.
Yeah, it was.
And,
it was absolute chaos in the sprint. But yeah, massive drive to be able to start P18, move up, get dropped all the way back down, and then manage to pull a P13 out. So very well done to you. Do you have any sort of insight on what you might be doing to prepare for next week's race? Anything you can maybe take away from today?
Well, it's Austria, so every time I believe WHSF has raced at Austria, it's rained. So lots of rain practice, but hopefully it won't be rain like Portugal on the Mystery Month race, where it's just the last second. So probably lots of rain practice.
Well, I remember the last time we were in Austria and it rained in Tier 2. It was like being in the trenches. There was so much happening.
I think the last time we were in Tier 2, it was actually me and you fighting through the trenches.
It was crazy. Like, I think I had 4 different incidents happen to me. And did you crash on the last corner in DNF?
Yeah, so on the last corner in Tier 2, I lost a back end and my car just pointed at the wall. I was like, well, I can't save this, can I? And then, yep, boop.
Well, I wish you the best of luck next week for Austria. And we'll have a short conversation with the last person who's yet to be spoken to, and that is the Spin DJ himself, Legispin, aka Ledgeman, aka LTJ Ellis. How do you feel the race went for you?
Right, I didn't need quite that introduction, but yeah, it went okay. I missed out on the points at the end because of a penalty. The safety car came in my pit window, so that done me pretty well. I didn't realise it was going to rain, so that really caught me off. That really caught me out. But overall, it went okay. I had a good couple little battles in the sprint race. I think me and Lime had a collision, which spun me out. That wasn't just because I booted the throttle, don't worry. But so I think I finished P11 in both of them, so missed out on points just about. But overall, it was pretty average. Not my best performance, but also not my worst. So I can come back better in Austria.
Yeah, for sure. I didn't actually know that the spin wasn't due to your own fault. I thought maybe it was to do with Lime, because we did see you posted, I think it was a practice video earlier this week, and you spun it on the last corner.
Yeah, I've had about 3 corners that I've had trouble with, but I managed to fix up those mistakes.
Yeah, that last corner is a killer, because that's like if you take the inside right on the apex, you get that slight elevation change, really unsettles the car.
Yeah. So I've done lots of practice to make sure I weren't spinning. Don't you worry.
Are you going to be doing quite a bit of practice ahead of Austria next week?
Yeah, I've never raced F2 around Austria, so it's going to be quite a shock.
if it rains, I would highly advise not getting close to any cars. Just from personal experience, that's always going to end badly.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for the conversation. And thank you very much to everybody who has watched this evening. I've been your commentator Scones. With me in the commentary box has been Michael Louie. And congratulations to all those that did well in tonight's race, and to those that DNF'd. I'm very sorry, and I hope you manage to pull a better result next week in Austria. And we'll go over the championship standings next week once we've got the updated with today's scores. And we'll have a look for somebody to raid. So we'll be raiding Half Lap Harry. And thank you very much to everybody. Oh, thank you to Craig Conley, who's subscribed at Tier 1, who also gave us a 100 bits cheer earlier in the race. So thank you to everybody who has watched this evening. Hopefully see you back next week in Austria for more chaos. And there we go. The raid's gone, and